Hello to my truth and freedom-seeking friends. I'm Peymon Motahede, president of Freedom Law School at freedomlawschool.org. You know, I have not filed and paid federal income taxes for over 30 years and have a special guest here for you. This special guest of mine was a former gun-carrying IRS Special Agent with the Criminal Investigation Division of the IRS, who exposed the massive IRS fraud of the American people way back in the 20th century and has been exposing them. The IRS and DOJ had tried to shut him down, put him in prison. Didn't work. This man is a true living hero that comes in just once every 10 years or so. Someone like that come on the scene and makes a huge difference. And his story is absolutely amazing, eye-opening, and interesting. So his name is Joseph Banister. If you've not heard of him before, that's okay. If you have heard of him, we're going to do this several-part series on Joe Banister's story. How went from an IRS special agent to whistleblower, prosecuted, exposing scam of the American people, and helping you educate yourself to live a free life. So, Joe, thank you for being with me at Freedom Law School, my friend.
Thank you, Peymon. I'm not as old as I look with the lighting here, so. But anyway, I'm grateful to be with you.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're both the same. I think we're about 8 months apart, Joe. I'm a few months older than you, so we're both, I'm 63, you're 62 still. So you look good, my friend, So, Joe, people that don't know about you, let's start with your background, your family background. Could you tell us a little bit how was it that, you were raised up and led to being get into this accounting field to begin with in the IRS?
Sure. Well, born and raised in San Jose, California, middle-class family, Catholic upbringing, Catholic elementary school and high school. Went to San Jose State University. Family, my dad worked for the city of San Jose in their public works department. My uncle, my dad's brother, deputy sheriff with Santa Clara County, which is where San Jose is located, for like 30 years. Had cousins in law enforcement, and anyway, so there was a big government service vein, I guess you could say, it would run through the Banister family. And I also went to a Jesuit high school, so I guess the conspiracy theories can fly. But the theme, the motto at the high school was "Be a man for others." And so, I didn't really realize how mottos like that, or the government service running in the family, how that would all pan out later in my life. But they were certainly good guides, good guidelines to follow. So anyway, basically I got a degree in accounting from San Jose State University, became a certified public accountant in the early 90s. And then it took me that long to realize that, wow, this is accounting is kind of a boring career. So I decided to spice it up a little by applying to both the FBI and the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, because both those agencies and many other federal agencies like to hire accountants, attorneys, those kinds of things. So that was kind of how it all started as far as spicing up my life and deciding to go down the road of government service.
So I think you applied to the FBI, I understand, first, before to the IRS. What happened there, Joe?
Well, so there was a family friend of my wife's, who had been an IRS special agent for his entire career. But he also, worked in the 70s and the 80s when there was a lot of drug investigations and combined investigations between the IRS and the FBI. He did undercover work. So he knew people in the FBI. His name's Bob. Actually, I addressed my resignation letters to Bob, but anyway, that's getting ahead of myself. So so he was giving me, advice. He was a good mentor in terms of pursuing a career in federal law enforcement. And he suggested that I apply to both the FBI and the IRS because the way hiring works in the federal service, you never know kind of how long it'll take. So that's why I applied to both agencies. And I have to say, at the time, I was certainly, I didn't like the IRS better than anybody else. And I was already a CPA dealing with the IRS for clients. Could see that they were, they weren't really that desirable of an agency. But anyway, that's who the mentor worked for. And so I went ahead and applied. And then there was a hiring freeze with the FBI, even though I had passed every single requirement, the physical, the psychological, all the testing, for your own acumen, your intelligence. I passed everything, was literally waiting for a letter to report to Quantico, Virginia, to the FBI Training Academy. And there was a hiring freeze back when Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. And so I'm waiting, hiring freeze, and meanwhile the IRS had authority to hire, even though the FBI didn't have authority to hire. So the IRS application started going hot and heavy. And so then I had a decision to make. The IRS wanted to hire me. I wanted to work for the FBI. What should I do? Well, the mentor said, you better take whatever they give you. You can always move into where you want to be later. So that's kind of the thinking behind. And then, of course, being a CPA, I certainly had tax experience. And, so it was a pretty good fit. It's just that, I didn't have that many friends as it was. But going to work for the IRS, I knew I wouldn't have any. But anyway, that's how it turned out that I started to work for the IRS. And I only applied to the Criminal Investigation Division because I didn't want to be an IRS auditor or an IRS bill collector. I wanted to spice up my life, and so I wanted to use, my financial accounting, tax skills to actually help my country, to serve my country, protect the Treasury. So that's kind of my mindset. And of course, the day that I started with the IRS, or actually a few days after, I had to be sworn in. You have to actually swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution. It's a requirement of employment. And so I did that, and of course I'm very, very proud to do that, and very mindful of what that oath meant.
And Joe, your siblings were also, all of them, into law enforcement, weren't they?
That's correct. Back in the early 90s, so my next brother down, John, he's about 13 months younger than me. He served in the California Highway Patrol for an entire career, up through the rank of lieutenant. And he was actually assigned to the South Central CHP office where they filmed the series Chips. And then that's where they had all the Rodney King riots. So he literally hit the ground after training and was there maybe, I don't remember exactly, but a few weeks. And then they had the Rodney King riots, and then he's riding shotgun on fire trucks to put out fires in downtown Los Angeles set by all the rioters. Then Jim, the next brother down, he's was a Daly City firefighter. That's Daly City, California, south of San Francisco. And he still works for the Daly City Fire Department. He's risen to the rank of battalion chief. And then our youngest brother, Jeff, spent a career at the San Jose, California Police Department. And he just retired a few months ago.
Wow, very
good. My dad passed away just a few months before I was hired by the IRS. But as I say, he was in the public works for the city of San Jose. My uncle, his brother, is still living, retired from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. So, law enforcement and government service definitely ran in my blood, and it was kind of a rude awakening when I made those discoveries that I guess we'll be talking about in the near future.
Well, what led to your getting interested and eventually discovering that the people of the 50 United States do not have to file and pay income tax. How did that journey start for you, working as an IRS Special Agent?
Well, I would say that, just as being a regular American and exposed to the kind of media that people your age and my age were exposed to, CBS, ABC, NBC, it was pretty controlled. And so the view was that anyone that spoke about, the income tax isn't required, or the Federal Reserve, or anything like that, people of today that are dialed into the internet can't really understand like how pervasive that brainwashing or controlled media was. So when I went into the IRS, I already was conditioned with that. And then, of course, the IRS taught that people that spoke about topics like you've been speaking about, and I have, at least since leaving the IRS, that we were, crazy, we were anti-government zealots, criminals, illegal tax protesters. And so that was kind of the mentality that was built into me. But it only penetrated so far because my upbringing, also, I was informed about the Constitution, about how critical, our Constitution is to our freedom, that our rights don't come from the Constitution or from government, they come from God. And so thankfully, I was well ensconced in that kind of a mentality. So all of the, propaganda about, people like Peymon only penetrated so far. But I spent, it was from November of 1993 until February of 1999 was the time period that I spent working at the IRS. And the first 3 years, all of 1994, 95, and 1996 were really great. I mean, they were exciting. I became a firearms instructor, defensive tactics instructor. I really focused on not being pigeonholed as the CPA who just gets a bunch of boxes to investigate and, just be right back into my boring accounting life. So I really made an effort to work on money laundering cases and things that weren't, what you'd picture a typical CPA to do. And so those first 3 years of my 5.5 years at the IRS, I really enjoyed immensely. It was incredibly rewarding. And I wasn't going after, people for just, pennies or, they declared too many meal receipts or, some ridiculous thing like that. I was going after like drug smugglers that were smuggling crack cocaine across the country, back when they had the Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia. Big investigations with that I ran or that I did in conjunction with the U.S. Customs Service, the FBI, and local police departments. So anyway, the first 3 years I expected to last a full 20 years because that's typically a law enforcement career with the IRS. And then I was listening to a talk radio show at the very end of 1996, so about 3 years into my career there at the IRS. And this woman, her name was D.V. Kidd, she was talking about the federal income tax and the Federal Reserve and a bunch of other, the New World Order and topics like that, which, as I say, back in the 90s, that was like taboo, like, oh, wow. Nowadays, I mean, people's eyes are really opened, but it wasn't like that in the 90s, as you well know, Peymon. But anyway, so I was listening to her, and again, my core was knowing about the Constitution, knowing about the attacks on the Constitution, knowing how both Republicans and Democrats, there's plenty in each party that really have no care about our freedom, about protecting the Constitution, adhering to their oath. They're dangerous as hell to our freedom. And so I always had that mindset. So at least I listened when she was talking about the income tax, the Federal Reserve. And I basically decided after hearing her on the talk show that I should look into this more. And I didn't, ask for any kind of permission to do an official investigation. I didn't park my brain at the door when I got a job with the IRS. So I used my own time to investigate the claims that she made on the radio that day. And like I said, that was like December of 1996. So then all of 1997 and all of 1998, I dug in. I basically used every skill that I had to that point, which would be certified public accountant, degree in accounting, IRS training in tax, money laundering, criminal investigation, and utilized all those skills to investigate the federal income tax. I mean, when you want to come right down to it. So that's what I did throughout 1997 and 1998. And of course, I could kind of take a breath because during that time, you were one of the first people that I came into contact with. And so you can describe how that went. I think your side of it would probably be more interesting than mine.
Well, if I remember right, you ordered a copy of D.V. Kidd's book, and there you saw that Bill Conklin had a $50,000 reward over the income tax question. One was asking for the law that requires Americans to file income taxes, and the other question was how could you file the 1040 tax form without giving IRS the possibility of coming after you, put you in prison for signing that form. You basically giving up your right to be silent as required by the provided by the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So you called Bill Conklin, who was listed in her book, about his reward, and after talking to Bill for a little bit, he told you, well, you should call my friend Peymon. And then he called me. Said, Peymon, this guy's going to call you. He's an IRS Special Agent, and he's asking about the income tax question. And but I don't think he's a spy. I don't think he's coming here to spy on us. I think he's genuine and for real. I think you ought to talk to him. I said, okay, it sounds good to me. And a little bit later, sure enough, you called me, and you just started asking me questions, and you told me that I'm not looking at you as a target of a criminal investigation. I just want to understand what you guys are talking about, what you guys are saying about why income tax is voluntary for Americans. And so that's where we started, like you said, educating you. I introduced you to my other friends like Sean and Steve at Free Enterprise Society, Dave Bullington. He's a few other key people in the movement that I trusted, not to betray your confidence in me, and that, I don't want you to get you in trouble with the IRS either, because I found out you're a real thing. And I even have our level 1 course called The Practical Road to Freedom from Oppressive Taxation and Control, a course in living free for those who are committed to living a free life. I gave you a copy of that course, but I had special labeled it for you, Midnight Basketball, to be able to listen to it in your government car without getting in trouble by somebody who may come across those audio tapes and say, hey, what is this freedom audio tapes you listen to while you're driving for the IRS going to appointments? This is not exactly the kind of stuff you should be listening to. So I did that for you, and because I always believe in education for people, and you certainly were a good student. You always were very interested in learning more, and you picked up the ball running. And then tell them about how you decided to write a book. Tell them about that, Joe.
Well, what's interesting about what you shared with me is that even though I had had training as a CPA to research and training with the IRS to research, they didn't train, and I mean, we could argue whether it's purposeful or not, but we could set that aside for now. But, you were able to show me, it wasn't like, oh, here's Peymon's opinion on X, and here's Peymon's opinion on Y, and on number 1 and number 4. You just showed me Supreme Court case law and statutes, and you had me talk to lawyers, and so what can I say? But you showed me evidence, and of course, to an investigator, whether I was doing a formal investigation with the IRS or informal investigating the income tax as I did, it's all about evidence. It's all about show me the proof. And so I just want to, recognize you, or let your audience know that you played an instrumental role in, because I mean I couldn't go to the IRS and say, hey, how come you didn't teach me about Supreme Court case law and what it says, and so you were a good resource. And like I say, it wasn't just, oh, listen to my opinion, I'm Peymon. It was, look at these Supreme Court cases that you may not have been shown before. So I just want to point that out. But back to my story, in that all of 1997 and 1998, about a 2-year period, as you said, I'm speaking with you, with other attorneys, other people that you arranged to have me meet with, and just doing an investigation, like finding the facts, and then also comparing those facts that I was encountering with what the IRS was actually doing and what the IRS was, claiming as its authority. And so at the end of that 2-year period, when we're starting to come into 1999, after 1997 and 1998 doing the investigation, which, by the way, was just evenings and weekends on my own time, and really making my wife angry because I was already working 50 hours a week at the IRS criminal investigator job. And then I'm going to the law library, and I'm, doing all this extra stuff, and it wasn't very fun at home to try to do this. But freedom isn't free, and I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and I really meant it. And so I was put to the test. Like, how much do I really believe in adhering to this oath? So that's what I did. But when it got to be the end of 1998 and early 1999, I recognized, in talking with you and others, I better get something together here so that when it's time to confront my supervisors, or however I'm going to do it, I have something that I can point to, right? I can actually basically assemble the evidence. And so it came into basically a report that was 90-something pages. And it presented some, not all, but some of the evidence that I had encountered that I wasn't aware of, before I worked for the IRS. And I think I actually mentioned you in my book, right? I mean, you're mentioned in the book. We call it a book. I mean, it was a report as it originally stood out, because as an IRS special agent, as really any law enforcement person, when you do an investigation, you have to culminate the investigation with a report. And the report not only uses evidence as exhibits, but it actually explains why the exhibits support the conclusion. Excuse me. So that's what this report basically did. It had exhibits, evidence that I encountered, and then I explained what I believed to the best of my ability that the evidence showed. And the basic conclusion, I mean, just to kind of get it down to a thumbnail, is that the evidence showed me, and now this, think about this. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm an IRS special agent, a criminal investigator, carrying a gun and a badge around for the IRS. And the evidence indicated to me that the IRS was breaking the law, and that it didn't actually have the lawful authority to force people to file tax returns and pay income tax. So, I mean, that was a bit of a, there was some real conflict going on in my body and my soul over that. And again, at the time, I called it preliminary because, hey, I could have made a mistake. People make mistakes. But I was as diligent with my investigation of the income tax as I was in doing my IRS criminal investigations. I applied the same amount of integrity and poking. And so to come away with at least preliminarily thinking, wow, there's a problem here. I think the IRS is lying to the public. But that was basically the presentation, the 90-page report, plus an explanatory what I call transmittal letter, a letter that accompanied the report, so that my bosses at the IRS would literally have something to look at, something to share, something to poke at themselves. And unfortunately, once they poked at it, it took them a few days. But after their poking, what they basically did is called me into the special agents in charge's office there in San Jose, California. And he said, Joe, what I'm about to do, I've been instructed to do. And I'm going to be placing you on administrative leave. And you're to go home. I'm taking your badge and gun. We'll leave you with your pager. And you're going to go home for a week and think about what you want to do next. And they also said, we won't be answering any of your questions or your concerns. And this is after being promoted. For those in federal government service, they know that there's a grade scale. So I went from, I forget if I started at a grade 5 or a 7, but I ended up at a grade 13. And that's the highest grade prior to management. And I was just the cat's meow. Everybody wanted me on their search warrants. Everybody wanted me to help with their cases. And then I asked a few questions about, evidence about the income tax. And all of a sudden it's like, see you later, Joe. But that was basically their reaction. So I went home for a week. And again, if I thought that home life was difficult when I was studying, home life became very difficult when I'm saying, honey, remember this job that I wanted so bad and, wanted to serve my country? I might have to leave in a week. But over that week, I basically, talked to different people. Some people were saying I should stay. Some people were saying I should go. And I decided that part of the evidence that I encountered was that the IRS, the DOJ, the media in particular, they can try to ruin your reputation or make you as somebody you really weren't. A contemporary example would be like Alex Jones, where they just totally railroaded him into these civil judgments. But back then I thought, look, I've got a good reputation. In fact, I've got an excellent reputation. I have documentation to prove it. I think it'd be better if I leave so that I can keep that reputation intact. And, judgment calls are judgment calls, right, Peymon? I mean, maybe I could have made their IRS life even more miserable by staying. But that's a decision that I had to make. I feel like I had good reason to do so. And the other good thing was that I could speak freely. Because if I remained at the IRS, there's all kinds of, Hatch Act and all these restrictions on what you can say. And I wanted to be able to speak freely. And boy, on February 25th, when I resigned, I started speaking really freely. And of course, you helped me get the word out. So I'll take a breath, but that's basically how that transpired.
Yeah, and you wrote, I remember, a very respectful letter to the commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, the head honcho, and asked them, look, I'm supposed to report fraud, abuse of power, anything I see that's wrongdoing, I'm supposed to report it. You told us in your instructions to us, so I'm doing what you said, and I'm reporting all this fraud and abuse I see by the IRS on a massive scale on American people. So here it is. If I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong, because you took your oath to uphold the Constitution very seriously. You let the commissioner of the IRS know that, Charles Rosati. And I remember you wrote in there that, hey, I cannot live with myself because I can have two masters. I can have either, do whatever the IRS tells me or live up to my oath to uphold and defend the U.S. Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So here it is. The ball is in your lap to clarify this issue. And I really loved your very humble, respectful tone to the head of the IRS about this problem that you came across. And all they did when they responded that your manager, Bob Green, was supposed to just hand over to you because Your book, when I understand, went to the headquarters of the IRS's Criminal Investigation Division in Washington, D.C. At the minimum, went that high. Whether Rosati saw it or not, we don't know that at this point. But, at least got to headquarters in D.C. They told him to tell you, look, hey, you can take a time off paid and think about this. And when you wrote back and said, look, I cannot have two masters, so I'm going to leave the IRS. I thought that was a very honorable thing, you did, although, as you know, yes, I did want you to stay in there to give them hell, but that's okay. You came out, spoke at our 1999 Freedom Rally in Newport Beach, California. We had over 300 people there. Freedom Law School printed and distributed your books out there. We got about 10,000 books. And we got, I think, that first night, we had about over 1,000 of your books. We got them out there. People bought them at $20 a piece. Some people bought cases of your books to get out. So it was very exciting. It was big news because we published it. We let people know all over the Southern California media. You're coming out ABC, CBS, NBC. We contacted all of them. They may want to send a reporter to have an IRS official is exposing IRS fraud. Of course, nobody showed up, right? To cover it because they don't want people to know about all this. And so that was very exciting times. I remember when the room was very full. People were waiting for you. They did not know what you even looked like. In our brochure of the event, we did not put Joe's picture on the brochure because at the time, he was still working for the IRS. We just put some IRS officials coming out. And so people did not even know who Joe Banister looks like until they saw him in person on the podium at that time. So that was very interesting. But I think the audience, Joe, would like to know what happened after that, where you got out there to debate the government and confront the government about the IRS, the Department of Justice, and how that led to them, not answering you, and then try to put you in prison to shut you up because you were such a thorn on the side. They felt compelled to try to stop you, and they failed. So, but the folks, we try to keep these interviews in segments so it's not too long, and so people will share them easily with other people. So we're going to take a break from this recording because we're going to have Joe back to do follow-up sessions about his story, which is really very, very unique and interesting. So with that, Joe, what I'd like to do with you, if we could, is take some questions from our audience. Joe, can Joe answer questions here? Question and answer also? Okay? If we can do that, let's do that. If not, we can say goodbye to Joe. That's okay. Let's put the number on our screen to get people's questions answered. So, folks, I'm not sure if Joe can take questions this time, but we'll see. If not, I'll do it myself. But next time, if not, we'll arrange it ahead of time to make sure that Joe can take your questions also. So later this year, and we're going to maybe every other week or so, we'll bring Joe Banister back, everybody, to complete telling you guys his incredible, unique story about exposing IRS fraud on the American people. And so I invite you just, join us in upcoming weeks and tell other people about it. And this video, of course, I invite you to share it with other people about, Joe Banister's unique story. But can we put the number on the screen for the freedom questions? Okay, let's put the number on the screen. What number to call so people can start calling us. The number to call is what we have. Okay. So, by the way, let me remind you, everybody, if you want, you could call us or get to our website and request our beautiful 12-page Restore Freedom brochures. Follow the law is step one. Regain your power and freedom. Stop voluntarily paying the Washington, D.C. swamp legally and safely guaranteed. Why? Because no law requires 99% of Americans to file and pay income and payroll taxes with a $50,000 reward. If anybody, your lawyer, your CPA, your accountant, bookkeeper, anyone can show anything wrong in these 12 pages. This is all the laws that are relevant from IRS's own 1040 book and forward. Is here to educate people with and empower them to live free and stop paying income tax they don't have to pay. And this is a second edition of that with a different cover. The inside and the back are all the same. This one just has a little different cover. Fast track your success lawfully and safely, paying no income or payroll taxes required. Request them online or call us at 813-444-4800 and we'll mail them to you, as much as you like. So can we have Joe take questions right now at this point, you think? Should we try it out? See how it works? If not, see how that works. Joe, I'm going to see if I can hear you, my friend, because we have a caller right now from area code 714. And let's see if he can perhaps be heard, or maybe I can hear him on myself only. All right, let's see. All right, well, I'm afraid, Joe, we cannot have you take questions. But, Joel, thank you very much for being with me, my friend, and speaking to our audience. Have a great evening, my friend. And is Joe still with us? The audience can see him. Okay, nope. Let's see. All right. And so, Joel, we'll bring you back, my friend, later this year to tell everybody about your amazing story that I'm sure is going to be empowering many people to check things out and start living a free life, my friend. Thank you.
My pleasure, Peymon. Thanks for all you do and for all your crew.
Thank you, my friend.
Take care. All
right, take care, my friend. We have right now, so area code 714, area code caller, followed by a call from area code 407. So 714, area code caller, please give us your first name, how you heard about Freedom Law School, and then your question, please. Are you there from area code 714 caller?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, what's your name?
Okay, thank you. My name is Guy. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, thank you.
First, I want to thank you, Peymon. And I met you and Joe Banister in 2000, I believe it was 2001, at your event at the Doubletree Hotel in Irvine, California. And it was a really meaningful experience for me. And it's great to see Joe again, that he's doing well and surviving. My question is with regard to revocation of election. What do you think about that process?
Revocation of election is a misreading and misunderstanding of some sections of the Internal Revenue Code, the Bible of the IRS. Okay, it falsely assumes that you had elected to become a slave of the IRS for the rest of your life through deception by the government. And now you need to cancel or revoke that election you were deceived into, so now you can be free of filing and paying federal income taxes. So it's simply wrong. There's no relationship between what you file every year with the IRS or not. You can file 1 year, claim you owe the money, and next year don't. There's nothing you did that forever make you a slave and now have to revoke it.
Okay. I see. Does that mean that you don't need to put the IRS on notice in any form or way? You just need to stop filing a 1040 a 1040 form every year?
Correct. That is really all you need to do, is to stop filing that 1040 confession form. If you're our employee, go to our website, freedomlawschool.org. We have instructions on how you can have your employer stop stealing money out of your paycheck, so-called withholding, And because of that withholding, now by April 15th of the next year, you have to file the 1040 confession form to get some of that stolen money back. Okay, that's all you need to do, just stop. Now, however, I think every American, in my opinion, has a right and a duty to write your public servants in the federal government and ask them about this. The ones you really should write about this are your House of Representative member and your 2 U.S. senators. We have petitions for free at freedomlawschool.org for you to send to them and say, look, I declare to you here's a law that clearly shows me as a person, American citizen of the 50 states, does not have to file and pay income tax. I have zero taxable income. And here, and I'm telling it to you, up front, you own the IRS. You are the boss of the IRS. You created this whole tax system. So if I'm right, you better go after these guys and tell the other congressmen to stop this ripoff of the American people for trillions going on for a long, long time. If I'm wrong, though, show me, and I will humbly pay my fair share of taxes. And guess what? Not even once any congressman has been able to show us wrong. Say, oh, you missed it. And turn on the code. Here's a code section you missed. Requires the people of the 50 states to file income tax and shows your laws in your petitions that you have quoted, listed, attached are wrong. Here, your court cases are wrong. You know, here's a Supreme Court says you're wrong about this, a court case of yours, or this law, this is wrong, you misread it somehow. Not once they can correct us. So you definitely do want to do that as well to protect yourself. Now, and there's also an option if you want to be part of the solution in a big way, be involved in restoring freedom in America. Okay, you can join our Restore Freedom Plan, which is modeled after what the Founding Fathers did. We all pitch into this Restore Freedom Fund. That way we can pay for your defense. We pay the attorneys as necessary to protect you from any and all IRS attacks. You will not go to prison. We do all the work if court, if they want your money. And if we don't even beat them, they take your money. It doesn't matter, because we'll reimburse you in full whatever IRS took from you, make you whole, and have zero risk. While you feel good, you know you are a part of the solution. Your life was more than just about money, about living a better life, which you need that, you deserve it. A portion of what you don't pay the swamp, 30% you contribute to this Restore Freedom Plan, and the 70% helps you and your family have a better life, because you deserve it. It's your money to begin with. Any other questions, Guy? I don't hear Guy anymore. Okay? Okay? Should we go to the next caller? Okay. Okay, let's see. 775 caller? Okay, Joe. Okay. We do have Joe on the call. So I'm going to have him talk, so Joe can answer questions. People also stumble with Joe live also. All right, Joe, I think we're able to connect you so that people can hear you ask questions from you if they want to. Are you there with us, Joe? Joe Banister, are you there, my friend? Okay, it looks like you're on mute, Joe, because we don't hear you at all. All right. Go to Joe Caller Studio if you need to, my friend, to work out the situation you got with us not be able to hear you. Meanwhile, we got more callers waiting to get their questions answered. Okay, we have a call from area code 407. Could you put him on, please? 407 area code caller. No, we have to restart the what? The call? Okay, we're going to have to restart the call, I'm afraid. All right, sorry about that, gentlemen. We got some technical issues again. We're going to try to work on the studio things. By the way, while we do that, let me just share something with you about events. we used to do a lot of events. In fact, I used to do annual events every single year from 1999 till 2012, sometimes 2 events per year, where I brought a dozen or more great freedom speakers from all issues of freedom, from income tax to the privately owned Federal Reserve money system, to wars, about 9/11, attack on our rights, health freedom issues, about many other speakers in all these areas come together in one weekend. I used to do in Southern California, then I did one in Florida, one in Virginia as well, to educate the American people about all these things. But that stopped because internet became the thing. After 2003, gradually the size of people attending our events went down less and less and less because online became the thing. So people ask me, Peymon, do you plan any seminars live? No, I don't. Only because not enough people want to have the expense and commitment of time to go to another location to watch someone speak like it was back 20, 25 years ago. So that's why we don't not do any live events. Once in a while, we might be sponsor of some big events, like the Bitcoin Magazine has an event every year that we've been to 2 years in a row. We're going to be in the next year also. So at these bigger events, we get exposure to a large number of people that are freedom-minded or learning about freedom and prosperity. So we'll continue to do those things. But we are in Florida, Central Florida, the Freedom State. If you ever want to come visit us, just give us a call. That can be arranged also. We can sign up in person. And I'll be happy to shake your hand and talk to you for a couple of minutes also, if that's what you want to do when you come out here. So I'm ready to go now. Back on the new Freedom Hour. Question answers? Not yet? It's not working again? Okay. So, all right. Let me know if you can make it work. So that's that. The other thing I want to share with you guys about is the mood of the country about freedom issues. I want to caution you that just because Donald Trump is in office now, and American people got rid of the senile, president that we had before that. Biden is gone. Kamala is gone, okay? It doesn't mean everything's going to be fine with Donald Trump, okay? And Donald Trump, I got to admit to you, is the best president I think we ever had until probably, at least maybe 1920s, if not going back to Jackson in the 1830s. He is far more awake about the corruption and criminality and wastefulness of the third government because he was a businessman himself, not a useless politician, and he was targeted by the criminal deep state element. The element that's been attacking Joe Banister, myself, others, the freedom movements, okay, they try to stop us. They want to enslave you forever and ever and ever. And they killed many of you. The corona hoax jab has murdered more Americans than World War I and World War II and Vietnam War combined. You can read that in the latest issue of the New American Magazine of John Birch Society. It's all in there. This is our government. And a lot of patriots are falling asleep and saying, well, we got a good president now. He's going to get the job done. He's going to clean up. He wants to get rid of the income tax. I heard, that anybody making under $150,000, he wants them not to pay income tax, for example. Well, yes, Trump does have those good intents, okay, and wishes. But guess what? It's not going to happen unless you get involved, my friends. Yes, because, he's from the top trying to drain the swamp, and each one of you needs to drain the swamp from the bottom, okay? Soviet Union collapsed because not only there was a Gorbachev, a different leader leading the Soviet Union, Okay? But at the bottom, the people stopped supporting that corrupt system and took the support away from that communist system. That communist system is headquartered now in Washington, D.C., the District of Criminals. That's what D.C. stands for now. Okay? Washington, D.C. has the most expensive real estate in America, even more expensive than New York and San Francisco. And it was back in 1700s merely a bunch of swampland that Maryland and Virginia did not want. How did it become the most expensive real estate? Okay? When the price of real estate in Washington, D.C. goes down by 90%, then you know we are truly a free and great country once again. Okay, are we ready to go? Let me know when, okay? So, do your part. You stop filing and paying income tax. You stop withholding on your income tax on your paycheck. Again, it's free, available at freedomlawschool.org to stop income tax withholding on your paycheck. You write your congressman that represents you. And they're supposed to uphold the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay? Put pressure on them to represent you. Right now we have in America not just taxation without representation. We have pretend taxation without representation. There is no law requiring the people of the 50 states to file and pay federal income taxes. It's all pretend. It's all make-believe with the media and programming all your life to believe there's a law that requires you to file income tax. And then at the same time, these people in Congress do not represent you. Right? None of them take the time to say, when we wrote out a petition, say, you're right about the law. You know what? I found you were right. I'm going to do something about this. Because my oath to protect your rights by defending the U.S. Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, requires me to do that. That's my job. When you report corruption and criminality and misdoings by the U.S. government, I'm supposed to be your protector, represent you, and stop the IRS, stop the Department of Injustice and the corrupt judges from violating your rights and ripping you off. But they don't do that. That's the real situation that exists in America today. And until we as a people take away our support from these people that don't represent us in government, guess what? We do not have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We have in practice a government by the big banks and powerful moneyed special interests who pay for the election and re-election campaign of corrupt politicians because they want corrupt ones they can buy. Honest ones don't sell themselves. Honest politicians need not apply. Okay? They're going to have them lose, get the corrupt guy. So it's by and for these people's benefits that we have a government of the big banks and corporations, powerful interest rates, of their people, of, by, and for them. That's what we have. So I think we're ready to take some questions right now, right? Okay? No, not yet? So okay, let me know when. Yes? Okay. Area code 424 caller. We can take this call right now. Should I put him on speakerphone? We got 424 caller here right now. So the order of the calls might be a little bit different, guys, that we got here. But we'll go take your questions, my friends, because, I'm committed to getting your questions answered. So remember, what you got to do is recognize that they are your public servants. They work for you. So who's the boss? You are. Not the people in government, not the people in IRS or DOJ. They are your servants. So why don't we just act like it? The problem is there's a rules to this game of government. The rules are called the law. Oh yeah. Whoever plays the rule by rules of the game better is going to win more likely. That's why I haven't filed and paid income tax for over 30 years. IRS has had me on the criminal investigations, civil investigations. Okay, we've been to court. I've beaten them. They've been unable to put me in prison or take any money from me because I learned the rules of the game better than them. The Internal Revenue Code, the court cases, the system how it's supposed to work, the rules. And for you, we've made it easy. 7 steps to free yourself of IRS deception, which leads to you being afraid of the IRS, fear, robbery, and slavery. It's at freedomlawschool.org. You just got to go out there, listen to the videos as you drive around, okay, and as you watch the road. When you get to work or home for lunch or dinner, then you watch it again on your cell phone or a big screen monitor and listen and see, I've verified everything for myself. I really am powerful. I know I don't have to file income tax. And you not only free yourself, but also, okay, you will tell other people about us, family members, co-workers, okay, anybody you know on your social media places. You post our videos, you get our brochures, Restore Freedom brochures, pass them out to friends, family members, co-workers, maybe even go pass it in front of supermarkets, door to door, yes, and we pay you. We pay you, put your name down, phone number down here for getting the truth out there. It's a totally win all around for everybody involved, except the crooks and criminals in Washington, D.C., and the big banks and corporations who own the corrupt politicians. They're the only ones that lose. You win, and the American people, freedom movement, all wins. So that's what we're going to be doing more on that. Are we ready to get started? Okay. We have, I need a list of people with phone numbers because I see one at a time to announce those, okay? So we're going to start right now with a 424 area code caller first. And then, right? No, that's on there. Oh, that's Joe. Okay, that's Joe on the call. Okay, all right. So we go to the 407 area code caller first, right? 407 caller, he's there. No, he's not there. Okay, he left. All right. We got area code caller from 860. We're going to take him. And then another call from area code 201. And then we have, I think that's the two we have right now, correct? 775 caller is, that's Joe. Okay, how about 424? That's us. Okay, got it. Okay, all right. Very good. Then 86 area code caller, my friend, please. Thank you for your patience. Give me your first name. How you heard about us. If you have any questions you want to ask Joe Banister or myself, go down and tell us how you heard about us. And then your question, please.
Question.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. You are talking to me. I'm Gail. I've called before.
You have an echo. You need to turn your volume on your computer down, all the way down, so it doesn't echo. So you only ask us through the call-in studio call-in number. Go to turn down the volume down all the way. Okay, give me your first name so I know what to call you, and tell us how you heard about us. And let's try one more time with your question also. Okay.
Is that any better?
No, we got it looks like going on it just still. Sorry, but let me see. Okay, let's
Or
try it
is
now.
that-
Good, try it now.
I tried calling the other day when you were not able to have anybody on.
Yes. What is your name?
Gail?
Could you please turn down your?
Gail?
Could you please turn down your?
I did.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Gail, how did you hear about us, and what is your question?
Mike Adams, and the question is that, well, I've probably waited too long. I haven't filed the state tax yet, and I'm getting frustrated because the TurboTax wants me to file both of them, and today's the last day for the extension even.
Okay, what state do you live in?
Connecticut.
Well, you have to file. Connecticut files federal
Yes,
income
I have to
tax
file.
definitions.
So that would mean I mean, either way, I have to file for the state, but the federal, I should not have to. Now,
Correct.
I've tried it on more than one website. TurboTax is making me upgrade to whatever for it's going to be almost $200 for the taxes for both federal and state, but I didn't want to file the federal.
Dale, just simply
You
fire
said that I don't
TurboTax.
have to, right?
Fire them.
I
You don't need
didn't
TurboTax. They're not making
So
you do
I wouldn't
anything.
have
Just
to.
you don't need them.
So I could find out about it, but I didn't mean to wait until the last day. But anyway, today is the last day, obviously.
No, because of the echo.
I did try to call you on Tuesday, but I couldn't get a hold of you.
Yeah. Just fire them altogether. You don't need TurboTax at all. Don't file nothing at all.
Yeah, but I have to file state, right?
Nope.
I won't get in trouble for not filing state tax?
States are some of them to be more aggressive, but you don't have to file with the state because they follow federal definitions. Okay? You can print out the tax return and mail it. And that'll be okay. If you want to do it in Connecticut alone, you can mail it. Don't do it online.
Oh. So then I should just not use TurboTax and use a different one.
Yes.
But I'm running out of time, though. Obviously, today is the last day. I took the day off today so I could finish it, and I'm frustrated because I was going through 3 different tax ones. I was going through Cash App. I think you gave me a different one the last time. Forget which one it was. I have it written down in the other room, but in the other room, my phone is on my other phone, and I can't go near it right now because it'll make funny noises.
Anyhow, it is what it is. It's better not off federal at all. Even if you file state a couple of days later, it's better to do that than to file federal. That's what you got right now. Okay?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. Can you say that again a little bit slower?
You are better off not to file anything with the IRS, even if that means that you file by mail with the state of Connecticut a few days later.
So I should print it out and file it, and I could do that through TurboTax. However, I'm still paying $200.
Okay, if that is what you use, that is what you use. You don't have to do it that way, but you could do it that way if that's convenient for you.
Well, it would be better to print it out, I guess, and send it separately because then I don't have to pay I don't have to do the federal.
Correct.
But you're sure nothing's going to happen, right? I mean, I can do that. Yeah, I know you've said that.
Look, no one can be sure that you or I will not die in a car accident tomorrow. So please don't ask questions that you're sure something is not going to happen. Okay, 50,000 people die in car accidents. So there's always a potential that the roof will fall down on us or we die in a car accident. Okay.
Well, I am going to be sending you the money soon, so then we can join you.
Thank you for joining our cause. But really, that right now is the best thing you can do. Is don't file with the IRS, nothing at all. Mail the state if you want. Tonight, if you can, by mail. Okay, if not tonight, the last night, do it later this week or next week. They might add a little small penalty for the small amount of state income tax, but that's not that bad compared to the IRS. Okay?
The state is not as bad?
No.
All right. So I will do the state then. I'll print it all out.
You got it.
Okay. Thank you for that idea. I didn't think of that.
You are welcome. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you, Dale. Okay, we have another caller from area code 201, I believe, right? 201 area code caller. You're live with Freedom Law School, myself, and Joe Banister. Tell us your first name, how you heard about us, and your question to Joe Banister or myself.
I think I saw you on YouTube or something. I can't remember. But my question is, hypothetically, if somebody filed an extension, are they now obligated to pay income tax?
No. That extension filing, as I covered before, means nothing because nobody signs it. You don't sign it. Practically speaking, your neighbor or the guy across the street or some stranger can send the request to extension for you. He or she will not sign for herself or you, and the IRS will just accept it. It's just something to make you feel good and believe you're obligated to file. But you know now that there's no law requiring you, as one of the people of the 50 states, to file and pay federal income tax to begin with. Okay?
Okay, and I have one more question. So when you say we're not required to pay income tax, does that include a capital gains tax as well?
Capital gains is a form of income tax. Just like tax on wages or commissions or real estate or stocks or bonds, they're all income taxes basically.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any more callers from what area code caller are you coming from? Because I don't see them on my screen right now. 917. Area code 917 caller. Please give me your first name, how you heard about us, and then your question, please.
I heard. Hello?
Yes, what is your name?
Okay, my name is Dave. I'm from New York. And I heard about you for a few years through YouTube and Rumble. And a question I wanted to ask is, have you ever heard about the lawful money return, and how does that, will that interfere with me just not filing a return at all for my next year?
Yes, I do know about the lawful money return that was done back in the 1980s by Armand Kondo. And there's more than one way of doing it. People mean more than one thing about it. So I'm not sure exactly which version of this so-called lawful money return are you talking about. Okay? But bottom line is that it doesn't work. Why do it at all? Why sign a piece of paper under oath, under penalty of perjury, swear to it, give it to the IRS, and now open yourself to be potentially charged by the IRS with 3 separate federal crimes that may put you in prison for up to 9 years for one signature? Why even bother doing that when you can simply have a nice day? Don't file, Nothing at all. Can you tell me why, Dave? Someone told you you should do this?
Well, it made sense to me before, but now it's becoming more clearer to me now.
Very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's one more question I had. It was in regards to with you guys sending the petitions to the state senators and the congressmen. I did that last year with you guys' program, but however, I haven't heard anything back from either one of them. Is that common? That respond?
Sadly, when you write your federal lawmakers, most often they ignore you. Once in a while they give you, especially from small states, senators, they pay more attention. They might give you some tepid answer like, "Oh, it's nice to hear from you. I'm a good guy for lowering taxes," or some other irrelevant nonsense. But yes, sadly, as I told you before, we have in America taxation without representation, and even worse, pretend taxation without any representation. But you should write to them anyways. That's your right. It should do to put pressure on them and educate them about doing the right thing.
Okay, thanks.
And make that record. You have to have a record in case they come after you criminally. That will protect you in the jury trial. You can tell the story and educate the jury about your honesty, integrity, and have the jury acquit you because you're not guilty of any crime. Okay, so you want that for that reason as well. Okay, now we have any other question, Dave?
No, that's it. But I did send it to him, certified receipt, and I got the postcards back, but I just didn't hear anything back from them. That's it.
Yep. Unfortunately, that is typical, my friend, Dave. Thank you for calling. We have two more callers from area code 515 and 559. 515 area caller. Please give me your first name, how you heard about Freedom Law School, and then your question, please.
My name is Mark, and I originally heard about Freedom Law School through Stu Peters, I think, through his show. I've been following Joe Banister for 25 years and his story back when they ran a full page in the AUSA Today, and that was back in 2000. And I ended up speaking to the attorney that represented him back then, and he's from Wisconsin. I can't think of his name. This question maybe is for Joe. And I have a quick question for you, too, as well, Peymon, if you have time. At the time, he advised me that there was a huge cost to go that Joe had gone through. I think it was something like $250,000 or something, and he suggested that I can't think of the attorney's name, but he suggested that I play the game and learn to play it well. What I would guess I'm curious is, since that time, Mr. Banister, I assume everything seems to have worked out successfully for you, and had there been any repercussions from that court case back in 2000 or whenever it was?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Joe, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Joe.
Well, just for everybody's information, it's Bob Bernhoft or Robert Bernhoft.
Robert Bernhoft.
He's from born and raised in Milwaukee, but he moved maybe 10 years ago or more to Austin, Texas.
Okay.
But his law firm website is bernhoftlaw.com. And so I was indicted in November of 2004, and my trial was in June of 2005. And about 5 years later, in 2010, the IRS actually opened up a second criminal investigation on me. And according to a FOIA that we received, the investigation lasted about 7 months and maybe a 500 hours worth of special agent time invested in it, and then they closed it. So,
Wow.
Why? There was redacted parts of the FOIA, so it's not like I got the entire picture. So that second criminal investigation that came and went was the last time any kind of criminal thing that I'm aware of. Civilly, like I had which I think is even on the internet, years 2003, 4, 5, and 6 were years that the IRS audited me. I lost my CPA certificate because the IRS, kind of a convoluted story, but the IRS claimed that I was part of a bar, like attorneys would have a bar that they belong to. The IRS claimed that I belonged to this bar, and then they kicked me out of the bar that doesn't exist. And then the CPA board used that to take away my CPA certificate. So, but other than that, last tax return that I filed was 1998. I've been after the IRS, whether inside working there or outside, trying to get answers. And, as I think it was the previous caller experienced, they're pretty short on answers. They don't want to answer. They'll give you some, canned response, but never hit the evidence straight on and rebut what we're showing people.
Interesting. Oh, that's quite. I've been a follower of yours, Joe, for like I said, 25 years, and I appreciate you and what you went through, and appreciate everything that you've done all through the years.
Very, very kind of you. My website is agentfortruth.com in case you want to check things out. I think Bob Bernhoft, has a link there, but as does Peymon and various other people. So, keep educating yourself. I still am.
Yeah, of course. I guess one question I had for you, Peymon, is kind of similar as the caller before. Do you recommend not filing for the state as well? I'm in Kansas right now currently, but and then if you're if you're self-employed, such as I am, you're using your tax or the banks require tax information, or like a mortgage or something like that. What's your recommendation?
Well, on the state tax issue, most states attach their state taxes to federal tax law definitions and or tax forms. So since you do not do any federal income tax, you owe no state income tax. Kansas is one of those states. However, some people choose to file with the state anyhow because states actually, if they do exercise it, they have more power than the IRS. And some of them, like California Franchise Tax Board, are much more aggressive than the IRS. IRS is a little harmless pussycat compared to the lion of California Franchise Tax Board. So it's not a black and white situation. And sometimes we actually cover people for state tax protection as a Restore Freedom Plan member, especially for people who are not employees like yourself. So it's not a black and white thing. In your situation, I would say probably not, but it depends on you and your personality makeup. Some people say, Peymon, I don't want to deal with the state either. I want to follow the law as it's written, and I'm not going to pay them no money. They want to come after me, let them try to come after me. Some other people at the other end say, hey, you know what, I'd rather not have that headache, and I'm just going to file and pay with them, and to focus on the IRS, leave me alone to begin with. So, and people in between, depends on how they sleep better at night with themselves. So there's no quick answer on that. On the issue of getting loans, well, number one, the good thing is without paying income tax, you have a lot more cash coming to you to invest in yourself and your business without having to borrow, without having to become a slave of any bank, pay interest, and then take money out of your wealth to give it to any lender. So that's one, because you're in a much better position not having to become a slave of the lender. Because remember, the lender has more power than the borrower. Secondly, on this issue, banks do not lend money unless they give that confession form 1040 from you. But why go to the bank to begin with? Okay, banks are part of the problem, and often they don't even lend out to businesses much anyways. You probably are better off, if you really need money, go to private market, private equity market, hard money lenders. To get money that way, if necessary, you're going to pay higher interest rates and a lower bank rates, but you're not going to be paying the much higher income tax slavery that makes you a slave. You're going to be at least a free person. So given that choice, to me, the choice is very clear to, oh well, I might pay a little bit more interest on the loans I get from non-bank entities. Anything else?
Anything else? Good point. Well, yeah, I did have one other thought or question. I'm part of the insurance industry, and a lot of insurance products are sold with the idea of tax deferment, tax-free build-up, tax-free distributions, and so on. And maybe this is more of a comment, but it seems to me that the insurance industry, which is one of the wealthiest industries in the country or world, it seems like they pay lobbyists to keep the tax structure in place in order to sell insurance products. Is that something that is of your similar opinion? The insurance industry uses the tax structure to market products, if you will.
Of course. Of course. All these corrupt big banks, insurance companies, corporations, powerful interests, they are using the tax system somehow to benefit themselves.
Right. I think the lobbyists are being paid huge dollars to keep the tax structure in place, and I don't even know. I think they're probably putting pressure on Trump. I don't know. Of course.
Mark, I have three other callers waiting to get their questions answered. Do you have anything else before I move on to the three other callers we have?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my friend. My pleasure. Okay, let's now go to we have three callers from 559 area code, 925 area code, and 630 area code. 559 area code caller. Please give me your first name, how you heard about us, and then your question, please.
Hello, Peymon and Joe. My name is, I'm going to give the pseudonym of Tony again. I called like 2 weeks ago and I spoke with you, Peymon. But I'm doing it for privacy reasons. I'm no one big again.
That's okay.
I just want to put my real name out there.
No problem.
But once again, I appreciate what you guys do. And I have a few questions that I should have written down. The first one being is for Joe Banister. I'm impressed with both of you guys' work, Peymon and Joe. But a question for you, Mr. Joe, because I kind of find myself in similar shoes that you were from the story that I've heard of you. So right now I have two children, basically like daughter is 2 years, 5 months, and my other baby just turned a year old. And I'm aware that you had kids when you began your journey and performing your research on this IRS fraud stuff. So I'm just wondering if you could share your method and strategies on researching, and this question that I'm asking now is going to lead to my second question. because I do plan on purchasing the Freedom Restore plan, but I don't have enough money yet, and I've been going exempt on my checks for like the past 2 checks, which is being helpful to me and my family. I'm getting a little bit more income because they're not withholding that federal anymore, so it's helping my family out tremendously. But I just don't have time to research. At least, I don't make time. So I would love to know how you made time, because you sounded like a busy man. You had kids at the time, and now I feel like I'm like Joe Banister, except I'm not an IRS agent. I'm an electrician, but I still feel super busy, But yeah, that's all I would like to know.
Well, I feel for you. I mean, my kids were, I'm trying to think, in 1999, I think they were like 11 and, 8 or something like that. So it was extremely hard. I mean, my wife really, understandably gave me a bad time. I mean, thankfully, she, worked her butt off, but didn't work a lot of hours outside the house. So, she was able to kind of take up the slack. In terms of studying, if you're an electrician, you got to study codes and, you got to be a pretty sharp guy to be able to do that. So I just recommend, maybe videos are easier, and then, try to take notes. Like my sons who are now grown, they seem to watch all their videos at like a 1 1/4 speed. Like they actually watch the videos at a faster speed, and people sound like chipmunks. But, like anything that they can do to learn, but yet speed it up because they have so little time to devote to it.
Okay. I appreciate that.
But it's tough. It is. I don't really know, other than, if you have a cooperative spouse, or if they're not cooperative, but you can kind of convince them, like, hey, this is important for our kids and our grandkids. And, in this country, we're really supposed to get in the canoe and help row it, not just go along for the free ride. But of course, your own discretion, you're going to have to decide, like, what's too much. My wife thought that me doing that while I was working at the IRS was too much. I did it anyway because I was convinced that I had a duty to do it. And that's being married, you have to roll with it and give and take. And, I'm not a marriage counselor, but, just love your wife and do a lot of things for her. Let her know you love her, but that you also love your country and you love your kids and your grandkids. And you're just doing your best to love them all with the love that's necessary.
Wow. Okay. I appreciate your thoughts. Wow. I appreciate it. I will let that soak into my mind and try to apply that to my life. And another quick question. So just to take the lingering fear that's still in me, because this will be my last question. I recently watched a video, and I'm looking at the title right now on YouTube. It's titled Joe Banister's tax lawyer warns non-filers, quote unquote, be prepared to lose everything you have. Should people like me who don't have the knowledge, such as you, Joe Banister and Peymon, should we be worried? Because it seems like a lot of people here are like, I'm not knocking anyone down, but they seem like normal like me, right? And like they don't have a lot of money. And I mean, I don't know them, I don't have a lot of money, but I'm just saying, should we fear what this video is titled? And this, the lawyer, I think his name is Attorney Dickstein. So that's my last question.
Okay. I haven't seen that video in years, but now that you mention it, I remember it pretty well. And so Jeff Dickstein was one of the 2 lawyers. If you were listening earlier, Bob Bernhoft was the second lawyer. Jeff Dickstein, having more experience, was the lead lawyer in my defense case. And I guess I want Peymon to make his comment, but my comment is you should hear out what Jeff Dickstein has to say, what Peymon has to say. You know, you should get a wide variety of opinions, and that so that ultimately, when you act on your conscience, on what, you know, if you're a believer, you know, if you pray and God is telling you, you know, I think you should stop cooperating with this system, or if your inspiration is like, well, stop cooperating, but get these ducks in a row first. You know, really, each person has to decide that. But anyway, so I'm glad that you saw Jeff's video. He kind of acted like that with me years ago. In fact, when I got indicted, Jeff said to me, "Well, we need to get all those tax returns that you didn't file. We have to get them filed." And I said, "Well, okay, Jeff, but does that mean you found a law, even though you wrote a book saying there isn't a law?" And I couldn't find a law. You're telling me to file a tax return without showing me the law? And he just kind of went silent, and, you know. So, you know, Jeff, in his defense, he's been through a lot of battles. And Jeff himself, in my best understanding of the situation, is he lost his law license because he went to war for a client who was being, you know, hammered by the DOJ. And so I basically don't begrudge Jeff that he's like a battle-hardened warrior. You know, he's a tired warrior. And so that's his opinion on it, and he's got good reason for that opinion, but it's not the only opinion. And that opinion was probably given, I think that video has got to be at least 10 or 15 years old. So, you know, again, I would encourage you to look at everyone's opinion that you can get your hands onto. Peymon has a lot of good resources. You know, Peymon has people you can talk to and get their opinions. But for me, because I was literally a link in the chain to putting people in prison over this, when I found out that there wasn't a requirement for me to file, I felt that it would be bearing false witness to file when I knew I wasn't required to. So, you know, those are my reasons. And as you pointed out, I was a CPA, you know, trained by the IRS. I mean, I have a certain amount of knowledge that maybe many people don't have. And that's why I just say each person, you have to kind of get every opinion you can, pray about it, and then, you know, make the decision that's right for you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Let me add to what Joe said a little bit for you, because I know Jeff for a long time. That video is from 2003. It was at my event. Someone else recorded Jeff. And you got to understand the context of the situation. Attorneys are very expensive. So tax attorneys, almost nearly, most of the experience they get is criminal tax cases where it costs a lot of money to defend. So the person's not prepared before they go to a tax attorney. They got a bad case all the time. Joe was the exception. And it costs a lot of money to defend them, and they tend to lose. And the attorneys don't get that much experience because most people cannot afford to pay a private attorney, like Joe had to and did, to defend them. So as a result, attorneys lose a lot of criminal tax cases. So he kind of saw the elephant in the dark from the back end. That's an attorney's experience. This thing poops on you all the time. It's smelly, stinky, terrible. Okay? So that's his experience. On the other hand, my experience was quite different because people came to me before they were criminally charged. I got to prepare them. And I got to help them by not charging them an arm and a leg like attorneys do. At first, I charged $60 an hour back in 1998 when I was new. Like my car mechanic charged that for a little car mechanic shop. So I got a lot of experience actually doing things because people could afford me. So I actually learned a lot more than attorneys. And I got to see the elephant in the dark from a different angle. I could have saw the angle of the horn, the trunk. It moves around. You play with it, but you could work with it too, and beat it if you know how to deal with it. Okay, and I got to look at things that attorneys don't get to look at. Jeff never had the opportunity to see the IRS from the viewpoint that I went through. In that, yes, you tangle with them, but really, it's a big, slow creature. Very slow, very inefficient. You could dance around it. And we're all a bunch of ants around this elephant that can just eat it up alive if we just get together like a bunch of piranhas, bite into the big elephant. See, that's my experience. And I beat them. So Jeff being a very loving guy that he always has been, a very emotional, sensitive guy. He didn't like to see people get hurt because that was his experience of the tax movement. People who had very bad cases usually went to jail. He gave that advice. He didn't get to see the whole big picture that I got to see. And I tell you what, you get to see the real picture from the government's own official documents. If you go to our website, okay, and freedomlawschool.org, take the 7 steps to free yourself of the IRS deception. You'll see step 3, realize the IRS operates on bluff and deception. And I got their own reports from the Government Accounting Office, from the Treasury Inspector General, from major newspaper magazines like Time, Newsweek, New York Times. The IRS is a failing agency that cannot and does not come after non-filers. The computers go back to 1960s, antiquated COBOL assembly language, okay? And they actually made a decision formally back in 2016 to leave non-filers alone. Jeff didn't know about that. I did not know about that until I came across that report about, I think, 3 years ago. Several years later after it came out. So now that I've seen the whole elephant from all various even more angles over the last 30 years, the more I've noticed the IRS's weaknesses. This big elephant is not this fast lion that's going to chomp you up alive like a Godzilla that the media portrays. So go look at step 3 on our website and verify everything I'm telling you for yourself, because the one thing I'm always proud to say about Freedom Law School is I'll tell you, don't believe me, the government, Jeff Dixon, or anybody. Look up and verify it for yourself. Get the clear picture from government's own documentation, how they complain about the IRS leaving non-filers alone, how they don't have enough agents, they cannot train them very well, they don't retain their agents, most of them are semi-illiterate. In fact, a good portion of welfare queens work at the IRS because they fill up all these, quotas about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. If you're a woman, it's a plus. If you're non-white, double plus. If you identify as the opposite sex, triple, or a homosexual, triple plus. So I love to hire black female lesbians. Okay? But that doesn't mean this black female lesbian is actually competent to do anything. They just fill up those quotas. So all of these things you'll see for yourself, and now you can better get evaluation rather than just some opinion you hear in a video and you don't know, well, is that really fact or opinion? All right, so thank you for your questions on that, Tony. Good point you brought up. I appreciate that. We have a 925 area code caller followed by the 630 area code caller. 925 area code caller. Please give me your first name, how you heard about us. Maybe ask question. You have a question of Joe or me or both of us, and then your question, please.
Peymon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My name is Doug. I'm from Crazy, California. I'm looking first for Joe for the spelling of Bernhoft, B-E-R-N-H-O-F-T. Do I have it right?
B-E-R-N-H-O-F-T. Yeah, bernhoftlaw.com.
Okay, great. All right. Now, as being out here in California, my question is, and I called H&R Block and asked him about this, is there a tax on inheritance monies? A lady died and left 50% to me. They say no. Is it your understanding that there is no tax on inheritance monies that are, gained?
Is that for me, Peymon, or you?
Yeah, he's asking you and then me.
You and then me.
Either one or both.
If you want me to address it, Joe, I can, but it's up to you. He asked you first, my friend.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding that inheritances are not taxable to the recipient.
Okay.
Generally, we're talking like a different part of the Internal Revenue Code, estate and gift, and then of course there's all kinds of questions regarding the boundaries of that too. But generally, if you're going to receive an inheritance, like let's say you receive an inheritance of a house, you get what's called a step up in basis. So, if your parents bought the house for $200,000 and now it's worth $1 million when they died, then the basis to you is $1 million, and the value is $1 million. So there's no gain under anyone's computation. But generally, any kind of inheritance, you don't have any tax consequences for yourself.
Sure. Well, the lady at H&R Block said that hey, when the FTB gets their claws into you, they don't like to let go. And several years ago, all of a sudden, $240 was gone from my account with no due process, no notice, no nothing. They did it one more time and back and forth letters, and they're leaving me alone. But now, with the lawyers' letters regarding the inheritance, I see that the Franchise Tax Board has now listed themselves as a creditor. So that's the reason for the question.
Well, I got to see your paperwork that you got, Doug, what happened with the FTB. Yeah, because FTB is aggressive and lawless. Okay, but first let me address your first part of your question. And remember the Internal Revenue Code, federal tax laws, okay? The definition of the United States is the District of Columbia. That's the default definition, okay? In Section 7701A, 9, and 10. Sub-chapters or subchapters have special definitions, like oil taxes is 50 states. FICA, or Social Security taxes, is for island territories of Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and American Samoa. So I had occasion to look up all these taxes you mentioned. Estate taxes, gift taxes, okay, wagering taxes, as well as what's that one? Gun manufacturing tax. A guy asked me he's going to make guns about that, and I found out, lo and behold, in all of these tax laws, there's no specific definition like oil taxes or FICA. So the default is they all are taxed on people from Washington, D.C. So no American has to pay any of those taxes at all to begin with, no matter how big or small the amount is. Okay, now, given that, however, the federal law says I think the first $5 million is exempt anyhow, and California follows that on estate taxes. But what you may be having going on is some of your retirement accounts of your parents or whoever passed away you inherited, and they want you to pay income tax on their deferred income tax of the IRA, perhaps. So I cannot give you an answer, neither can Joe, without seeing the specific paperwork of your situation with the California Franchise Tax Board, talk to you, and then with a better analysis and knowing your specific situation where you're at, then I can give you a better answer, Doug. Okay?
Sure. No, it's simply that a friend died and 50% of it in her willed 50% to me. So it comes to about $100,000, and if I get a check in the mail for $20,000 because they took $80,000, that's totally, that's just an example. I don't know because I haven't received it, then what? Maybe I should contact you about how to pursue the other 80. But Doug, I don't know what they're going to take.
The fact that they took from you, they tagged after you, tells me you or lawyer may have done a mistake or not properly, timely challenging the claims of the FTB earlier. Whether you are right or wrong, if you don't challenge them timely, you lose up front. You have to pay the tax in full, sue for a refund possibly. So I don't know. Without seeing your paperwork, it's like calling the doctor. It sounds like a simple thing, but oh no, it's much more complex than that. I got a back pain, neck pain, my eye bothers me, I got a headache, I got a kidney problem. Can you on the phone give me a quick, easy answer, fix it up? No, I wish I could. You got a situation, my friend. Without getting into it, I wish I could give you a guaranteed good answer, but I will be irresponsible of me, my friend, to do so. Okay?
It's not taxable. Let me ask you one other question. Does anybody know anything about Larkin Rose?
What about him? Yes, I know him very well. What about him?
Is he still alive and well? I haven't seen anything from him on YouTube as I used to. Is he alive and well or in prison?
He's not in prison as far as I know. I was at his trial. Last time I saw him was at about 4 years ago at Jeff Burbick, or about 4 or 5 years ago at Jeff Burbick's event in Acapulco. So I assume he's alive. He's not that old. Why?
One last comment, please, just very quickly. I remember Robert Bernhoff talking about the end of Joe Banister's trial, in which he was acquitted, and one of Joe's buddies, if I get the story straight, came up and with tears in his eyes said to Robert Bernhoff, "Thank you for taking care of our boy Joe."
Joe?
Is that how it went down?
I kind of vaguely remember that, but I don't really remember who it was. I have a suspicion, but I'll just tell you who I suspect. The special agent that was in charge of investigating me, he and I, got along great when we were both, special agents with nothing special going on except doing our work. And he was the one that investigated me. And after 3 years of criminal investigation, he couldn't find that I had broken any laws. And apparently, I've heard from some good sources that that's the way he wrote his special agent's report. That in fact, he exhaustively investigated me and recommended that I not be prosecuted. Well, they prosecuted me anyway. The DOJ prosecuted me anyway for reasons you can all pretty much figure out why. Take me down regardless. But anyway, it's possible that was the person, because I believe that he was very truthful and honorable throughout his testimony. And among the things that he said under oath was that he didn't see any evidence of any conspiracy between me and Al Thompson. So, he basically just testified to the findings of his investigation, which was that he didn't find that I'd done anything wrong. But yet it was out of his hands that the DOJ decided to make sure I got indicted anyway. And so that could be the person that said that to Bernhoff, because this agent, would be someone who would have been at the trial the entire time. And then maybe deep down, he was actually happy that I thought that I shouldn't have been prosecuted in the first place, but the fact that even though I was, that the truth came out and I was acquitted.
Sure. Hey, God bless you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Doug. Thanks for calling. All right. We have one more call from area code 630. The call number, if you have a question from Joe Banister or myself, is 424-552-1299, and press 1 on your telephone keypad. The number is 424-552-1299, and then press 1 on your telephone keypad. 630 area code caller, please give us your first name, how you heard about us. Your question is from Joe or me or both, and then your question, please.
Hi, this is Kate. Can you hear me?
Yes, Kate.
All right, hi. So I have a question. I've been listening to you for, 10 plus years, and I stopped filing taxes in 2015. And then I I got a letter in 2022 that they filed a substitute for return. Thus, and I ignored a lot of these letters. Anyway, long story short, they garnished my wages, they levied my bank, they emptied my Venmo, my Square, whatever accounts I had, and they levied my house. So I filed my tax for that year and got all that reversed. However, how do I know that they're not going to do it for all the other years that I haven't filed?
Because it will not happen if you want to be guaranteed. You want to join the Restore Freedom Plan. Rather than do it on your own and be one of those few they may come after, you just join other like-minded people, like other people on this call, our students. We're much more powerful, as a group, as individuals by ourselves, to get messed up by the IRS. That's one reason, amongst others, I created the Restore Freedom Plan. I saw the wisdom of us rather being picked off separately, that we join hands together. The problem is, too many of us independent-minded people are independent thinking, which is good, but also we like to do it on our own. You say, I'll just go on my own. And naturally, many of us want to just keep all of our heart and money for ourselves, because after all, each of us, like you, worked and earned your heart and money. It belongs to you. However, the challenge with that situation is like what you experienced. By yourself, if they come after you, you're vulnerable and you got hurt. But that's where I found the solution was, okay, listen, it's optional. You don't have to do it. But if you join the Restore Freedom Plan and put 30% of what you would have paid the IRS into the Restore Freedom Plan, because we know they cannot come after all of us. They have only 20 U.S. tax court judges. There's about 80 plus million non-filers. They just physically cannot come after all of us every year, or anything close to even 1/10 of 1% of us. By joining hands together, you not only pay the attorneys and all the legal work is done. If they come after you, they take your money. We can restore, give you all the funds back, make you whole, whatever IRS took, and you have no risk. So that's really the only guaranteed answer I can give you.
Yeah, and I get that, but I'm trying to just, because when you tell people not to file, which is what I've done, how can people be guaranteed that they won't get that substitute for return filed on at some point in their life?
Very good question. That's half the question. The other half of the question you really ought to ask is, how can they file a 1040 income tax confession form and guarantee the IRS will not go after them as a filer? You see, you forget about that. We forget about the fact that, wait a minute, when you start a 1040 form under oath, you put the rope around your neck. They audit you. Most of the people the IRS messes, hold on, let me answer your question. Most of the people that they come after is people who file, okay? And I tell you what, I'll tell people, Kate, up front, if it was me, join the Restore Freedom Plan, every single one of you. But I don't want people to call me patriot for profit. Say, oh, Peymon just wants your money to get rich off of you. He wants you to pay his thing. He's always peddling his own program, okay? Some people think of me like that way. Okay, look, the reality is 99+% of the time, they'll leave you alone. You want to do it on your own, take the chance like you did, you can do that. But you didn't join our Royal Freedom Package back then. You could have. You should have now, you recognize, but you didn't. So you should have joined our Royal Freedom Package back then. I've had for over 24 years the Royal Freedom Package. I'm now one of the people that came to me clean, stopped filing paying income tax with Freedom Law School, and stayed with Freedom Law School, has ever gone to prison, has never had the IRS take their bank account or paycheck, nor had their home or property taken. Never, not once. So, okay, I don't tell people that if you don't file on your own, you'll be guaranteed safe. Of course, I never say that. I tell you, 99% plus, you'll be left alone. And I say, I recommend, hey, join the Restore Freedom Plan because it protects you and funds the freedom movement that we got to get our country back. Because to me, Kate, it's much more than freedom, about freedom than money. A lot of people to them say, it's more about money for me. Okay, that's your choice. I'm not here to dictate how you should think or feel about money versus freedom, which is more important to you. If money is more important to you, that's your right. Okay? But I do recommend people to join the Restore Freedom Plan because it's the only way I know to get the guarantee. Otherwise, you're right. As a non-father, there's a percentage of a 1% chance they might come after you like they come after you. So, are you ready to join the Restore Freedom Plan now, Kate? And protect yourself 100%?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it for many years because I've been doing my own reading and research and all that stuff, and it's very confusing, as I'm sure Joe has explained to everyone, and his website's very informative. But it seems to me that the IRS does whatever they want to do. Like, they make the laws and take advantage of the fact that there is no law that we have to pay, but yet they have all this power to garnish wages and levy your bank and take your house and put you in jail. So
it seems to you that way. You're right, because that was your experience. But you see, unfortunately, Kate, you just admitted you made the mistake. I'm not joining Restore Freedom Plan, Royal Freedom Package 10 plus years ago. Have you done that? You would have been safe.
Like 10 plus years ago when I was like literally broke and had no money. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped filing taxes. I had no money.
But in 2022, you started making money. In 2022, they come out to you for some year. The bottom line is this, okay? You know, there is no guarantees in life. We got to make guarantees happen by going hunt for food every day, okay? By working every day to pay for rent and electricity. That's the only way to guarantee you won't be homeless, by working. Same thing here. So at some point, you should have said, hey, you know what, I'm going to save some money, not paying income tax, I'm poor, and join Restore Freedom Plan, okay? But you never did that. And that's done. That's done now. Let's go forward from here. You have an answer that has a track record of working for you, okay? All you got to do from now on that you're doing better after years of working, you're going to contribute 30% of what you would have otherwise paid the IRS, and 70% you get to keep for you, and now you'll be 100% protected with a guarantee that with the track record of I've done this now for 24 years. So if that's okay with you, let's do it and tell others about us. Say, look, learn from my mistake. Don't go alone on your own. Join the Restore Freedom Plan like founding fathers. Join hands together to get that safety and guarantee that you want. And I will pay you 50% of the membership of anybody you tell them about us and they join, because we want to thank you, acknowledge you, and support you. Reward you for exposing more Americans to have a free agency choice to be free, even with a guarantee. Any other questions, Kate?
Great. Well, one question since Joe's on here and he was an agent, when they do garnish your wages and take your bank and you do your filing of your taxes and you owe less than what they took, do they ever give it back?
If you owed less than what they took, I mean, typically, if the interest and penalties, if
I got a letter. They took over, say, $6,000. I still have the tax lien because they haven't removed that yet. But I only owed them like $1,500 after I did all the taxes, and I got a letter saying that that's all I owe, and to please pay by November 6th or something like that. But I already paid them way more than that by what they took from my bank and my wages.
Well, part of the problem is that the IRS, when you do pay them or that it's paid through a levy, the IRS doesn't even keep an accurate track of what they take from you. So
interesting.
Unless you keep track yourself so that you can prove, okay, I had a levy on my paycheck and it was for, 19 months or 39 months, and here's the amount that was, here's my bank statement showing how much they took, unless you've got that proof.
I have that. Yeah, I have that.
Well, then, you may be able to get, a refund, but you need to be able to show that they took more than they should have. And there's something called the taxpayer advocate and or your congressperson, and you can, basically create a complaint that most Congress people will follow up on, because their biggest staff is dedicated to IRS problems, no surprise. But you should be, if you have the proof to show that you overpaid or that they took a bunch of money through levies and they didn't give you credit for it, I would go to your congressman and or the taxpayer advocate and fill out one of their reports. I think it's actually a Form 911.
Okay.
In order to show them the evidence that they took way more than they should have.
All right. Well, I appreciate the information, and Peymon, I will join your group. I'll be calling in a couple of weeks once I get all this settled.
Very good. And we'll be happy to help you out with your situation. Sometimes you may have to do a refund lawsuit potentially, but I agree with Joe. I would try those informal ways first because they're much less expensive, and they just may work without too much effort or expense on your part. Okay, I think we have two new callers that joined us right now. One is from area code 224, and the other one is from area code 954. So, 224, area code caller, please give me your first name, how you heard about Freedom Law School, and ask your question from Joe or myself.
Hi, Joe and Peymon. Appreciate you taking my call. My name is Alan, and I discovered Joe, 15, 20 years ago or so from a video that I came across about the trouble that he had. And you, Peymon, I discovered on Odyssey a couple years ago.
Very good. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, I have not filed tax returns for probably going on 15 years. I have not, however, during that time, a good portion of that time, it's been kind of a hand-to-mouth existence, is only probably in the last year or so that, I'm actually setting a little bit aside. So I have not, however, written my Congress critter to ask the important questions, show me the law. And so far, there's been no contact by any agencies. It's as if I don't exist. So my concern is, if I do write the congressperson, will I suddenly be put on a radar?
The simple answer is no. They don't do that, okay? Their job is to get elected. They ignore the people that represent. They half the time they're out there making money to raise the money for the next election campaign from the powerful moneyed interests. They have no interest or time with trying to get you, as a tax protester or stuff like that. They just ignore the people for good or for bad.
Okay. I guess that's probably the next step then, and then probably looking into perhaps joining your group. Again, I'm not making a ton of money yet, but at least I'm not wondering where the next couple months' rent is coming from yet.
Got it. Anything else you want to ask Joe or me?
That's about it. No, I appreciate it. I'm going to keep researching and listening to your videos, and again, I appreciate what both of you do and have done.
You're welcome, my friend. Thank you. By the way, somebody asked a question earlier I did not respond about how do you make the time to educate yourself? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. That was a very fair question. That is why at Freedom Law School on our website, freedomlawschool.org, I put videos together. Because I realized that, back in, let's face it, 10,000 years ago, humanity learned everything word of mouth. Then we went to start writing. We started reading tablets and books. And since online videos came up with YouTube, in early 2000 years, now we're back to listening versus reading. That's a new reality. So I start putting videos together. So watch the videos at Freedom Law School while having lunch, dinner, breakfast, washing dishes, sweeping the floors, cleaning the windows, some errand, working out, exercising, any passive activity. You can just plug your cell phone to headsets and listen and learn. And when you're sitting down, eating and something, watch it this time. Also, when you're driving, everybody drives to and from work and or supermarket or errands. That's a great time. Don't waste it daydreaming or listening to music alone. You can have that sometime. But listen to the videos. And again, when you're eating, sit down, watch the video as repetitious to see and verify everything for yourself. Some people either say, look, I also read in the bathroom. They got a table in the bathroom. They read magazines or books. You can do that also if you like also. All right? So really, the opportunity is there for you to do it, but most people just do not want to take the time to not listen to music in the car when they're traveling. They'd rather just do that. Well, for me, I wanted to be free. So I did listen to music sometimes, but I listened a lot to educational stuff. Yeah, that really educated me about freedom, about success in business, sales, motivation, how to be a better person. I listened to a lot of those things in my early 20s because I wanted to be a better person for me. Okay, number one, and then better person for everybody else too. So that's my suggestion there. Okay, we have now, after 954 area code caller, we also have a call from area code 813 that joined us. So 954 area code caller, please give me your first name, how you heard about Joe Banister and Peymon. Ask your question and tell us who you asked the question from, Joe or me or both of us.
Name is Terrence. Can you hear me?
Yes, how you spell your name?
It's Terrance.
Okay, Terrence, got it. Continue, please.
P.S. Wonderful show. The Banister individual is quite a legend.
Yes, he is.
He is.
So you heard about Joe a long time ago and heard of me on what platform?
Whoa. Peymon is quite of a legend now.
Thank you for your kind words. How did you hear about Joe and myself?
Anyways, great show. By the way,
thank you.
I'm just gonna pay my balance in full, and that's all I gotta say.
You mean you are a Restore Freedom Plan member?
Yeah, I'm a member, and I'm gonna pay it in full. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for participating in our quest to restore freedom in America. I used to call it sometimes a revolution. We need to have a revolution against corrupt system. And someone told me, Peymon, you don't want the revolution. You want to restore the republic. And I realized, this guy is right. I better correct myself. Our plan is to restore freedom in America, and people like you, Terrence, who take part in joining hands with other people on this call, like Kate, okay, and, others. Then we can really, with our numbers, we are unbeatable. Thanks to America's founding fathers. With the way they wrote the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the foundations of Americans' laws and systems, we have so many rights and tools available that if you just use it, we can take our country back. It's just our ignorance and lack of action that keeps us from victory.
That's amazing. I think you've expressed a lot what I called in for. And I'm happy.
Thank you. Thank you, Trent, for your support. All right, I think we have one more caller right now from area code 813, patiently waiting, my friend. You are live with Joe Banister and Freedom Law School. Please give us your first name, how you heard about Joe and I, and then your question, please.
Yeah, my name is Greg, and I heard of you, Peymon, on Redacted. I guess it's been maybe, I don't know, unless you've been on the show for recently, but maybe a year ago, and then or more. And then Joe, I'm sorry, I kind of came in late, so I didn't, I just happened to go online, and then I saw you guys were having a show, so let me get on. So, but anyway, my question is, I live in Florida. And last year, I didn't file for business, my business taxes. And I haven't filed my personal as well, but for my business. And this year, of course, I recently received a letter for, Florida Department of Revenue. They're asking me, hey, we see you didn't file, and, if you're required to file for your federal, you're required to file for the state. So, so what should I do here?
I got to see your letter that you got, because I suspect what you got from what you described, it's your corporation didn't file a corporate state income tax return in Florida. That's what they're after you, because Florida does not have a state income tax to begin with. So I would say, it looks like you have to follow that. Why do you have your business be a corporation in Florida to begin with, to pay income tax? Why not to be a sole proprietorship or LLC? Why does it have to be a regular C corporation to be required to pay Florida corporate income tax?
That's a good question. I mean, that's why, my lawyer, I guess that's how they set it up. They of course, it's the business is a law firm as well as a CPA firm. So, if they put me in a place where they don't file taxes, they would be, missing some revenue from me. So that's probably the reason they set it up. The structure was set up this way. That's my thinking.
Well, they set it up wrong. Sorry to tell you. Has a lot of accountants and lawyers, just like a lot of doctors and mechanics, are incompetent. You get good and bad in every occupation. Unless you have a high-risk job, let's say deep sea diving, you probably do not need a limited liability company like a corporation. It's not necessary. An LLC would have been just fine. So you may want to dissolve that corporation after you take care of this little small matter you got right now.
Okay. Well, okay. Hey, that's I appreciate it. I mean, I wasn't even thinking that way, but I mean, that's a good point, and that's something I will definitely look into.
What's your business, by the way, Greg? What kind of work do you do?
Real estate. I just got a few rentals. I just have a few rentals.
Oh, you don't need that corporation at all. Just get rid of that corporation. Dump it.
Okay.
I mean, you made a bad mistake. Why throw good money after bad money? Right?
Yeah. I mean, the way, exactly. The way they did it is because they want to structure in the sense that to minimize your taxes. But it says I'm not paying taxes now. This structure doesn't even apply anymore. So
right.
Yeah. So
exactly.
I definitely appreciate that, and thank you for for what you do. By the way, I send people your way, and I tell them about you. Some think I'm crazy, some are curious, and I think this month I have sent videos of you, to 2 different people, and every time I get a chance, I tell them about you and what you're doing.
Thank you. Let me give a tip to all of you. In your car, have just a few copies, just 2-3 copies of each of our Restore Freedom brochures. Fast track your success in your car. You go someplace, at a restaurant, okay, or somebody come visits, whatever. You talk to somebody at the store. You can always go to your car. Oh, here, I got this for you. Just hand them one of these brochures at the back. Remember to put back there that, at the white space, your name and phone number, so we know who referred you, the person at Freedom Law School, so we can pay you a thank you for doing that. So have fun. I mean, I do it myself. Hey, check it out. You never know 1 out of 5, but out of 10 people has an open mind to think for themselves, open eyes to see and ears to listen. So, yeah, good luck with that, my friend. You're doing the right thing. So, yeah, real estate rentals, I think you can simplify your life greatly, my friend. But if you want to get a better resolution of your situation, you may want to do a private one-on-one consultation with me about the specifics of your situation and the options available to you. Without getting to the specifics of the letter you got and your situation, I feel a little uncomfortable giving you definite suggestions what to do, how to minimize the damage that's been already done. So I'll do my best, if you want to do that, to get with you and see what's going on here and make the best of your situation. Okay, Greg?
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my friend. All right, let's put the number on the screen one more time. Board is open. Joe Banister, former IRS Special Agent, is here with me answering your questions from either one of us or both. The number to call if you have a question is 424-552-1299, and then press 1 on your telephone keypad, 424-552-1299, and then press 1 on your telephone keypad. Okay? So it looks like there's no caller anymore right now. We answered everybody's questions. So I'd like to again thank you, Joe, very much, Joe Banister, for being my guest on this program. I promise you guys, we will have Joe back, before end of this year, several more times to complete telling his story for you guys. And I'll be available with Joe also to answer questions. But we got another caller after all, since we announced the caller number, and that is someone from area code 786 area code. My friend gave us your first name, how you heard about Joe Banister and myself, and then your question, please.
Hey, Peymon. My name is Chris. Me and my family have met you in, I believe it was in Fort Myers about 2 years ago.
Okay, I haven't heard about Joe Banister before?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a couple of his videos, and it's been a blessing and a journey doing our research. And we personally haven't filed in a couple of years. And thank God we haven't received any letters, not that we're expecting any.
All right, what's on your mind?
Nothing much. We're actually watching you guys live. And
Okay. Very good. So, Chris, what do you do for a living?
We have a business, RV repair.
Are you kidding me?
No. Why, you got an RV?
My father-in-law has an RV and is fixing badly, and it's taking too long to get fixed. Our guy cannot make it. The guy's supposed to repair it, so he just doesn't fix it. So we'll have to call you, okay? Is that your good number you're calling from? We're going to call you tomorrow, get this thing set up for him. That's taking up my driveway. Okay, I need to get to fix it for him so he can use it, for 2 years. Almost it's been there.
Well, we're not that far away. We're neighbors. We're here in Naples, Florida.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got excited. Okay. Very good. All right, great.
Just calling to say hi, and Joe, thank you for you guys standing up to the bullies.
My pleasure. Trying our best.
Yes, sir. It'll be nice to meet you as well in person, if God willing.
Well, hopefully one of these days we do a big event in Tampa. Maybe you bring Joe also, because that's one thing I'll do. I'll do something in the local area, Tampa, Orlando, once in a while. And some people will show up, have a shindig, get together at the same time. We might be doing that sometime. Maybe next tax season we'll do that. Okay, thank you for calling, Chris. We'll be calling you, my friend. Okay, you call my office. Tell them I'm the guy that have an RV repair. Okay, in Fort Myers, and the Peymon asked me to call, so maybe we could use your help in our family. Thank you for calling in. We have one more caller right now from area code 516 area code. Caller, please give us your first name, how you heard about Freedom Law School, and then your question, please.
Yes, hi. My name is Glenn. I'm from New York. I heard you on Mike Adams. And my question is, I have a real quick question on a standard IRA account. Normally, when you pull money out of an IRA account, you have to pay taxes on the money you pull out. And my question is, would I under this program need to pay the taxes that I remove from my? I'm using the word standard. I know that's not the right word. It's a traditional, I guess, is the correct word. Traditional IRA. So let's just say I had, $400,000 in a traditional IRA. If I pulled out $300,000, someone's going to look for, I guess, tax money on that withdrawal. I would assume that the Fidelity Bank would report that as being removed, right? 300,000, let's say. And is there a greater risk in that specific instance that they would report it, and is that a greater highlight than, for example, just standard income that you would be making on a regular job?
Okay. How old are you, Glenn?
I'm turned 70, and I know there's something about being 70 and a half that changes things, but I'm not quite there yet. I just turned 70 in September.
Okay. Well, you never owed any money on that money that you made, that you put in the IRA, to defer to pay it later on when you take it out. So now you can take $300,000 or whatever else you want out of that IRA, and you owe zero legally to the IRS because you are from New York, one of the 50 states, not Washington, D.C. So just do it. Now, the other question you ask is that any different than a W-2 worker, employee, or independent contractor, being 1099? The IRS coming after you. After all, they will send out a false form to the IRS saying they paid you this money. But guess what? The IRS very rarely uses that third-party information that Fidelity or an employer or any third party sends to the IRS on the 1099 or W-2 or K-1 form. They don't use that against non-filers. They once in a while use it against filers, but against non-filers is rare. So you're no different, more risk than someone who's just an employee, okay, that doesn't file. If you want to be extra safe and not to worry about it, and you want to feel good that at age 70, you are contributing to your children and grandchildren's freedom and welfare, that you're not going to just die and pass it off to your kids and grandkids, you can take 30% of that money that you otherwise would have paid to the IRS if you filed a 1040 form. Give that to Restore Freedom Plan for you and me and your children, my children, our grandchildren, all America. And the other 70% you get to keep for yourself, clean, with a guarantee. IRS will not take that money from you. If they do ever, we do all the work beforehand, but if they lose, they take it. We'll reimburse you whatever IRS took from you, so you have no risk whatsoever.
Okay. Quick question then. If I'm to assume, let's just assume, you're a person making 100. In other words, I'm not working anymore, but if you're a person normally making, say, $100,000 a year, right, and you're saying that the federal taxes on that, let's just throw a number out there and say 20% maybe the federal would charge you as taxes on $100,000. So you're saying that basically using your numbers to join the program that you're speaking of is 20% of what you would normally contribute or pay, let's say, in taxes, right? So let's say that number is $20,000 in taxes. So you're saying $4,000 would be the number, using the numbers, the hypothetical numbers I just laid out. 100,000 income, 20% of that would normally be federal taxes, and what you're saying is to join your group would be 20% of that 20,000, so that would be about 4,000, and this would be yearly, you would say?
30%, not 20%. So in that example you gave of that 20,000, 6,000 would be a Restore Freedom Plan membership annually if you make that money every year, and the other 14,000 you get to keep in that example every year. If you make more or less, the amount of taxes you would owe the IRS otherwise would go up and down, whatever that is. 30% of that goes to Restore Freedom Plan to protect you 100% and restore freedom in America. And the other 70%, you get to keep all of it with a guarantee.
6,000 a year is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay. I think that answers my question, and it actually, like you said, it's not really guaranteed insurance, but at least with the banking of, as you mentioned, all of us together are stronger together, as you mentioned, and as opposed to, and I like your example of the IRS picking people off if they stand alone. That was a great example, as opposed to being the safety in numbers kind of thing, being part of the group. So it all makes sense, and so that answers my question, and it also thankfully frees me up just to be able to move in a situation where I thought that I reached a blockade, pulling that money out of the traditional IRA, where now I could, if I join your group, at least move forward with the confidence that chances are that still nothing would happen, because they don't have enough resources to cover, as you mentioned, 100 million people that don't file. Those chances are near nil anyway. But if it does happen, 6,000 a year is an extremely good insurance against that possibility that they come after you. At least you've got the assurance of knowing that you're in a group and it will be handled professionally by you and your organization.
Thank you. I learned that concept. I used to sell insurance back in my early 20s. I was a financial planner, so I know how insurance works. Now, this is not insurance. This is a performance guarantee, you could say. We're going to do so well because I beat the IRS myself, my students, so consistently that, we beat them anyways. I mean, I had this Restore Freedom Plan, was a Royal Freedom Package with no guarantee at all for close to 20 years. I never had to get, nobody ever lost money to the IRS if they came to me clean and stayed with Freedom Law School and followed my advice and procedures. Okay? So, but now that I recognize the IRS is actually falling apart, I realize that that's in my favor. I could really make this concept work even better by coming together, because other people have legal defense fund type of thing, but not quite as good as this, and they did not know what I know. It was a Save a Patriot Fellowship had one, Free Enterprise Society had one, but but I learned from those guys, from their successes and their failures. So that's how I really built what Freedom Law School is today, on the shoulders of other great people that came before us. And Joe knows some of those guys. Erwin Schiff, Robert Clarkson. These guys made some mistakes and great contributions, but we built upon the shoulders of those great people that came before us from the successes and their mistakes. So thank you, Glenn, for calling. I'm glad you saw some Mike Adams. It's great to see that, people are finding out the truth one way or another. But let me ask you, Glenn, do you have any children or grandchildren?
I do not. No.
Okay, so you're a single person. So that's why you'd be in a higher tax bracket as a single person. Yeah, got it. Okay. Very good, folks. I think we're done for tonight. We're gone for now almost 2 hours now. Okay, it's kind of late. So we better give everybody a break. I'll be back next week also, next Tuesday. I'm going to probably cover the topic of probably grand juries. Some of you showed real interest in grand juries. The key to restoring freedom in America, one key is take back our citizen grand juries, okay? They have so much power to go after the crooks and criminals in government, but that power is not being utilized due to our ignorance. So I did a part on that last Freedom Hour a week ago. Yeah, if you haven't watched that, watch that. You'll be very excited to know about it. I'm going to apply that concept of grand juries to how it works so well with our First Amendment petitions that we do to government to confront criminality by the IRS and DOJ elements who are still there, and conquer the America from his crooks who've stolen our country from us, and get back to you, your families, America, the freedom that the founding fathers and their generation fought for, that you and I as Americans deserve to have back. So with that, Joe, do you have any last words you want to say? You want to give them your website? Any last words before we say goodbye, my friend?
No. Grateful for the invitation and the time with everyone. Agentfortruth.com is the website. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Joe, for being with me. Love you all, guys. We'll be back for you guys next Tuesday night properly. And we'll have Joe back before this year. So tune in with us every week. Thank you for watching.